Alright, it's your boy Darnius, and today is the silver recap for all my videos I made in 2022. Sorry if it took me 5 months to make the first video for the year. Was dealing with a lot. Besides, I still got like 4 videos done, and I promise to get at least 5 by next year. Don't hold that promise, though. I don't think I'll keep it, but I'm gonna try my best to see that through. Now then, let's begin with the recap. It had a plan of 26 episodes before being cancelled after 4 episodes. However, this show doesn't have the best reputation. Not that it's bad, it's just weird. I should know, me and a certain pal of mine liked to joke about this show and Raymond's pronunciation of the word car.
My friend here can fix your car.
Oh yeah, we definitely will get to that later. Not me explaining why it's a decent adaptation like DKC, it's not gonna be me explaining the non-existent lore of the show like F-Zero, just me doing a critique on a wacky show based on a limbless man. So the show does a decent job at giving us an idea on Rigatoni's cruelty. This also begins the many instances of Rayman saying car. Don't worry. There are more instances of him pronouncing car as car. They make it to the scrapyard, they climb to the top of the conveyor belt where cars are devoured by a terrifying demonic cow. Rayman advises he should go to the doctor, or the doctor. Little note, this is easily the funniest episode because there are some really good gags like this one.
What are we curing today?
Ligerophobia, the fear of loud noises.
Oh, sorry to disturb you all.
The episode ends with them driving off with Cookie learning a lesson about not complaining. I guess. Black Mac, being the certified bruh moment he is, drops an entire load of plates. All seems well until Grub uses the table covers as a bib and all the food falls on his date, causing her to leave and Grub in sad posting hours. Also, the show is actually pretty funny at times. There are some well-written jokes in the show.
G-U-R-A-Q-T-I-N-V-U. Ooh, I don't blame you. I am pretty good looking.
Everything is just so heavily textured that it feels like you're watching a PS2 game cutscene. Despite how the entire city is populated with these slug people, they actually took the effort to give each one a unique look. They also managed to get pretty creative with the city at times, like the subway trains act like air trolleys with a roller coaster type track design. There is also the scrapyard with this terrifying looking cow that eats the cars. Even with the lack of game representation, I can definitely see the city in a Rayman game. Cookie is the paranoid and pessimistic member of the group, but he is also well-meaning and very talented. Is it bad that I relate to this character? He is accompanied by Admiral Razorbeard, who is the only character besides Rayman that comes from the games. He is the antagonist of Rayman 2, so of course they had to put him in somewhere. He also looks like a setup for a British person joke. Having original characters in a video game adaptation is not a bad thing, but Rayman goes overboard with it. Donkey Kong Country paid more homage to the source material and still made some characters, with worse animation no less. One more thing I would like to mention, that the voice acting is just mwah, chef's kiss. Let's start with Rayman, voiced by Billy West. And yes, that Billy West. He was going for a Boston accent, and it's probably the worst one I've ever heard.
But you don't look like Lack Mac. Well, you're not doing a very good job. Lack Mac is goofy and he jumps around.
I mainly blame the voice direction because Billy West is a great actor, and he would have been a great Rayman. At least he eventually got to play Murphy in Rayman 3, with much better voice direction. Cookie is voiced by Carlos Alazraqui, who also voices Admiral Razorbeard, and I can easily tell that they have the same voice actor. They kind of sound the same.
No chance. Rigatoni knows our every move.
You're not going anywhere, pal. You do the tricks, and then maybe we'll feed you.
How could I forget the lack of characters from the games besides Rayman and Razorbeard? In fact, the Jack in the Boxes have Eddie from Tonic Trouble. Who knows? Whether TV show or game, let's just hope Rayman comes back. If Klonoa can come back, so can he. That's weird. The video went all the way without a certain somebody barging in. Oh well. After completing the holy grail that is the Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Collection this month, as of writing, something has clearly dawned on me. All of the bosses in this game are kinda weird, like, really weird. Mobile Tank Biskarsh? More like Mobile Stank Biskarsh. Mad Seedoff and Cursed Pamela focuses on a gimmick at grabbing one boss and throwing them at the other boss, which is a pretty creative idea, but the execution is pretty poopy, stinky, doo-doo fart. I say it's strange because despite the variety in its attacks, it can become an absolute joke in the difficulty department. This boss is supposed to have 8 hits, but due to the hitbox on this boss, you can beat it in 4 hits. No joke. My highest time attack score is 27 seconds. 27 seconds! This is actually a pretty unique boss that is bogged down by accidentally being easy. To be honest, despite being one of the better bosses in Dornafenamile, I have very mixed feelings about Nahatum. In fact, he might be pretty mid. This was a decent at best final boss, and it was satisfying to see Klonoa absolutely freaking decimate Nahatum with the final shot. Just like that, the role of final boss is fulfilled. It's not like the saddest ending in gaming happens afterwards, yeah. It's also not like he comes back later as a playable character in the spin-off game. Also a final boss whose ending is that his hotel bombs because his mascot is a yossified version of himself. He doesn't even care if he's destroyed as well. He's lived a millennia of isolation, so he is willing to die just to see all of Phantomile eviscerated by bootleg Barney over here. I like that Joka has an excellent build-up to his own actual fight. From what everybody thought was going to be another comedic side villain, to the grandpa gunning force to be reckoned with we see him as later on. To conclude, an awesome boss for an awesome villain that goes out in an awesome way. Yes, people, there is, in fact, a second plant-looking boss in Klonoa. His name is Leprosy. Also, he is voiced by the same guy who voices Donkey Kong and Ganon. The first phase basically has you to rely on the boost pads to hit him, mainly due to Lolo losing her will to help Klonoa out because this brutally honest tree called her out on not wanting to save the world. Once the first phase is done, Popka, being the biggest Chad in the series he is, gives Lolo a pep talk on moving forward through thick and thin. It's actually a pretty good speech that relays a message that no matter what, we have to keep moving forward even if we doubt ourselves. This gives Lolo the motivation to help Klonoa out and the second phase begins. Wait. This isn't even #1 on the ranking, isn't it?
No.
And remember, they had the nerve to bring back Nahatum in beach volleyball. In this form, no less. It is once again that time of year, everybody. It is the season of the spooky. I will not let these sprites go the waste, so a Halloween video is what you get. Suddenly, Tough kicks Kirby so hard that he is yoinked straight to the sun and the episode ends. I'm kidding. He lands in the forest and Tiff goes to get him. As they get out of the forest, Tiff steps on a rope and gets jump scared. They also see the townsfolk reminiscing about their times with the spook out. Even the wives are talking about meeting their husbands at the event, which is probably the most unrealistic thing I've ever heard. Relationships made in high school last longer than that. Anyway, they even bring up other children meeting their future partners at the event, and just like that, a subplot that goes nowhere is born. Escargoon explains it may be done because DDD is really good at scaring everyone, causing them to be extremely jealous. DDD decides to create his own spook, and Escargoon encourages him further by bringing up Kirby's participation. So they go to customer service to buy a monster. Due to unpaid debts, they are unable to, so they decide to create their own ghost instead. I actually like that they do their own evil scheme as opposed to buying another monster, because 99% of the time, they buy a monster to take care of their predicament. Think of it as a villain of the week formula. So it is refreshing to actually do something themselves. After some Escargoon jump scare shenanigans, Kirby is disguised as a pumpkin and scares them off. Kirby and those kids move on afterwards, realizing the rest of the trail will be easy. As they run back to the house, Kirby and Tiff encounter a strange spirit that is slowly forming.
Who's behind these sinister spirits? And will Kirby and his friends survive them? Find out Next time!
Did Sonic just tell me to stay tuned? Nevertheless, that's where the episode ends for now. A few trap shenanigans later, and we come into this terrifying clock room. I am exaggerating, of course, because this is the only tip of the iceberg for Kirby's scariest moments. Like, nowadays we live in a world where this is a Kirby boss. Anywho, while I may be sarcastic, this scene actually made me uncomfortable upon my first viewing. Maybe it's because of the outdated CG. It gives me heavy Card Evil vibes. So they decide to get one back again by pulling off an elaborate trick and
Flappin' Flotsam, what's that?
well, it could be worse. This could have been the uncensored version. I would like to play the scene that comes afterwards because I thought it was really wholesome.
I done mistook you for a ghost.
How many ghosts take showers?
I was looking all over for you, fool. I was almost worried.
You mean you were afraid for me? Thanks for caring!
Meta Knight, being the only character in this episode with a brain, tosses a torch over for Kirby to inhale. He becomes Fire Kirby and burns Gabon to death, which prompts everybody to leave because the house is burning down. Unfortunately, DDD and Escargoon are burned alive. Just kidding. They make it out because of course they do. It's a cartoon and you're practically incapable of death if you are a cartoon character. I love the homages to horror movies as well, like that horrifying out of nowhere Exorcist reference, because that was actually kind of unexpected and random and out of nowhere. I don't know what prompted this to happen. I don't know. Well, that is going to conclude the video. Time for me to spend another 2 months getting something out for December. Bye! Also, yes, I indeed kept the Where Darnius sprites. I am not letting those go to I only discussed how it took inspiration from Nights into Dreams, and I also talked about how much of a massive failure it was. Oh yeah, some guy was attracted to Balin or something, I don't know. Unfortunately, they shifted to working later in production since a certain sickness whose name we shall not say halted them. They started production during a certain sickness whose name we shall not say. That is but a taste of the red flags this development unveils. Neo Toshima created a total of 120 costumes and narrowed it down to 80. This surprised Yuji Naka because he was expecting to cut it down to 40 as the game went on. However, that honestly is something that they should have done in the first place. They designed all the costumes to have one button so younger players wouldn't be confused, which will be, in fact, the biggest mistake they've made developing this game. Yuji Naka did use Nights into Dreams as an inspiration by incorporating the fictional language, or Balinese. Balinese is actually just English, except put in a blender and mixed it up to make it sound like a Pingu script. However, due to a certain sickness whose name we shall not say, Yamazaki had to record the music remotely. That is all for the development of this game. You have made it to our main attraction. The game was revealed in July 2020, and everybody was pretty hyped for the game. Even the Billy Hatcher speedrun community was looking forward to it, actually. Then, that fateful day arrived. The January 2021 demo dropped. On that disastrous day, the reputation of the game was forever tarnished. Since there was no way to fix the major issues of the game within 2 months, Square Enix had the ingenious idea to give the game a day one patch. It included bug fixes and oh yeah, a bug where Lance has a seizure-inducing laser beam. In April of this year, Naka confirmed that he got fired 6 months before the game's release, due to the state of the game and the use of a fan cover of the game's songs. He even sued the company, accusing them of not caring for their consumers, which he isn't wrong, considering how they gave Chocobo GP a $20 battle pass and sold the Tomb Raider rights for NFTs. However, this is the same guy who canceled Sonic Extreme because they used the Knights engine. Let me tell you, I am obsessed with this game. Not because of how much of a meme it is with my friends, not because I played it, actually I haven't, but that is more of a good thing, trust me. It's because it is such a chaotic dumpster fire of a game. Every new detail I find about it is sacred, even when the big old clown Nene baby over here probably hasn't even gotten over it. The characters speak the aforementioned Balinese, and half of the time it isn't even translated. Not even the song numbers are translated, so all you hear is a bunch of toddlers spitting bars. Coupled with the characters suddenly cutting a rug after a boss fight makes it even more confusing and hilarious. It even rewrote some characters as well, completely fleshing them out. Like how Cal Suresh went from being a sore loser to quitting chess because it took attention away from his slowly dying wife. Cas McGillen is the same person as the princess this clown named Attilio Caccini fell in love with. This implies that Wonderworld itself can time travel, and that's kinda weird. On top of that, the story also suffers from sudden tonal whiplash. It could go from, I can't build airplanes, to,
my cat just got run over.
then the resolution's like, no, it's okay, the cat got out of the way in time. Don't even get me started on The Lady Who's Too Scared to Love, where the lady's parents die. Then, the game completely resolves it by having her dance and getting married. This is kind of a problem. Like, a major, serious problem. And what do they do? Nah, let's just have this lady boogie woogie and realize, oh, I remember. I'm gonna get married. Okay, what's sadder is that in the novel, instead of dancing, Balin and the kids actually talk to the inhabitants and tell them what they need to hear. That is so much better than 13 dance party sequence. By the end of the game, you'll need 110 of these. You'll also need to beat every chapter before fighting Lance. You can get these by exploring the level or getting excellence on Balin's Vow. Oh, don't even get me started on Balin's Vow. It's a QTE minigame where it's the closest thing to playable Balin. Oh, wait, I forgot that exists. Although, it's fun when Lance is involved and they get to beat the crap out of each other, it is considered as a boring minigame and another pointless addition. We all have to admit, though, the music for it is a banger. I even used it in the Knights video. The trophies are similar to the moons from Mario Odyssey, and they also entirely missed the point on that. A new version of the final dance cutscene with yeah, this is something you see in the game's ending, the aforementioned face reveal. This design has gotten a lot of heat because it ruins the mystery of Balin wearing a hat. It's also extremely cursed. Okay, hot take here. I think it makes sense if we are considering the idea that Lance made Balin. They both look pretty similar, so it isn't completely out of left field. Also, there is concept art of him looking more Balin-like. There are also rumors of it being a forced change by the Square Enix higher-up. Oh wait, that is pretty much it when it comes to everything wrong. The redeeming factors are more towards the art direction and music, even if it got them a lawsuit. Since you unlock 3 chapters throughout the game, what if every 3 chapters we get unique cutscenes that show Lance? We can see him getting progressively more frustrated as our main protagonist free more of the inhabitants. Then, when you finally fight him and get through the first phase, it makes the cutscene where he snaps and enters his shadow form a lot more sense. As for the gameplay, it is rather simple actually. Separate the attack and jump buttons, because that is basic game design knowledge. I'm no game designer, but even I think it makes sense this way. What if there was a dualized type rule in the game's universe? You get to fuse with Balin because it's the only way to use the costumes. This takes inspiration from Nights in the Dreams without completely ripping it off. This also makes Balin getting credited in the ending a lot more sense. This actually helps sell the game as a game where you play as Maestro Balin. Like I said, this game feels like a worse version of Mario Odyssey. I know they very likely haven't taken inspiration from the game, but it's a game with similar mechanics and probably similar abilities that supremely missed the point of what made Mario Odyssey better. And Balin and Cappy are pretty identical when it comes to their designs. I feel like that's also a coincidence. However, there is a bright side to this outcome. There are people that really appreciate the game for the good aspects. People have comics of these characters, dubs of said comics, extremely creative animatics, and even very nice and not sus fan fiction. Wow. That was a doozy. Worth at least 20 minutes of your time. So, I'll be seeing you guys next year. Hopefully. I'll probably make an update video in about a week. I don't know.